All right, guys, so it took me a little bit longer to read this book than I care to admit, but life has been crazy, so there's nothing really I can do about it, but it was definitely worth the wait. If you are new here, this is the second book in the Twisted series by Huang. I just recently read the first book. The first book is in Twisted Love. The first book followed a girl named Ava who was going to college, and she is like this bubbly personality. She's like the ray of sunshine, just that overall like nice person who sees the good in everyone. And she falls for a dude named Alex who is not very bubbly. He's very cut off, like doesn't want to talk to nobody. Definitely morally gray. He's not afraid to dabble into some dark areas if he needs to. Where this book goes with Bridget and Reese. So if you remember from the first book, Bridget is one of Ava's friends, and Bridget is actually a princess, but she is living in New York to go to college. And Reese is her bodyguard. Now, in the first book, Bridget has a bodyguard named Booth, who had been with her forever, but he had a baby back home. So he went on paternity leave, and Bridget got a new bodyguard, which would be Reese. Now, Booth and Bridget had a really good relationship, and Bridget could pretty much do whatever she wanted, just make sure that Booth was there. While Reese took it a little bit more personally about her safety. He was a lot more controlling and not letting her go places unless he like thoroughly checked out everything. And Bridget and Reese bumped heads a lot in the beginning of the book. So he calls her princess, is like, because she doesn't like to be recognized as princess in the States, and she calls him Mr. Larson because she knows it annoys him back, and they're just always like snipping at each other and don't talk to each other too much because she thinks he's too controlling, and he thinks that she just doesn't care enough about her safety and being a princess. Then it goes into the second part of the book where Bridget ends up having to go back to her place of birth and has to end up becoming queen. And I just really like this book because you can see the character development with Bridget and Reese's relationship through the book. And whereas the first book only goes over 1 year, this book actually goes over a 4-year period. So I don't want to do like too many spoilers. I'm just going to kind of give like the gist of it. So after spending I guess I should start before they go back to her hometown in a different country. Reese surprises her with a trip to Costa Rica. And Costa Rica was a fun time in the book. I will say this is a slow burn love story, but once it starts, it doesn't stop. And whereas in the first book, Alex was like that evil, like, you're gonna do what I say, Reese is kind of the same way, but in not so much of like an evil tone. It's more of like I care about you, and you need to be punished for not listening to me as your bodyguard type of thing. Anyways, so they end up not bickering as much and slowly starting to get used to each other to where eventually they fall in love, they can't keep their hands off of each other, and it becomes a little bit more noticeable. And of course, if a princess is messing with her bodyguard, it gets kind of tricky for them. But overall, I gave this book a 5 stars, and well, obviously out of 5, which the first one I gave a 4 because I am like the happily ever after ending, and the first book did have it, but I didn't have it for like the whole end of the book. It was just like the last few pages of it, whereas this one, like, I knew where it was going, I knew they were going to end up together, I knew it was going to be happy, and I don't know, it just made me so happy, like I said, because I don't necessarily want to say they were enemies to lovers because like they definitely didn't get along, but they both felt that like attraction towards each other. But they eventually did get over themselves and like just his protectiveness over her is I love. I love a protective man. I love a man that will literally go to any lengths to keep his woman safe no matter what it is, and it always supports her and lifts her up and makes her feel beautiful and is good in the bedroom. But yeah. I really enjoyed Twisted Games, and I definitely intend on reading the next book in the series, but I'm probably going to give it a little bit of break and read some mystery books in between, because like I said, I really love romance and mystery. So let me know how you like Twisted Games if you have read it. I definitely think out of the first two books, this one is my favorite so far. I love me a Mr. Larson. All right. Have a good rest of your day, guys.